Good evening, everyone. My name is Renee Hill. I'm the Chief Academic Officer here at Riverside Unified School District. It's nice to be with you this evening. First, I would like to express our appreciation for your patience while we work out the family choices for school and all the other details that have to be approached in our current times. We are simulcasting this presentation in Spanish. So I would like to welcome our Assistant Superintendent, San Martin, to make an announcement for how to access the Spanish simulcast.
Thank you, Ms. Hills. Muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos. Tenemos una transmisión en vivo por separado para nuestra comunidad de habla hispana. Para unirse y escuchar, siga el enlace en la parte de abajo de la pantalla. Muchas gracias. Back to you, Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent San Martin. Now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Kathy Allaby, RUSD Board of Education President. Kathy, thank you so much for your work in these times. I know it's a lot, but we all appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Hello, RUSD families and friends, students and staff. 19 days from today, school begins. And while some normal back-to-school traditions may be suspended, one tradition has remained. All the teachers and staff at RUSD are working to get ready for their students and the new school year. This year is very different, of course. We are all starting out at home online because Riverside is on the county watch list for coronavirus cases. But that doesn't mean we are working any less to prepare for the start of school. In our presentation today, you will hear about the plans the board has approved to slowly move, as the situation allows, back to an in-school model. You will also hear about how we're going to offer virtual courses. These plans aren't without a lot of give and take on parents' parts. They are not ideal for working schedules, and we realize that. But we weighed a great number of factors to arrive at choices we hope will allow you a modicum of flexibility. Now you will get to choose the best option for your family. We are excited for school to start on August 10th and working hard to make it a great learning experience for all our students. Back to you, Ms. Hill.
Thank you so much. In tonight's presentation, you'll first hear from Assistant Superintendent Dr. Ryan Lewis about the program choices that are available for families and the due date of tomorrow, July 23rd, to make those program choices. There will also be an update about co-curricular and extracurricular activities, as well as health and safety, and we'll end by letting you know some resources that are available for students and families. Dr. Ryan, would you like to bring us into the program choices portion?
It'll be my pleasure. Thank you. Good evening. So tonight we will be providing an overview of the 3 program choices that parents and families are presented as we move towards the 2021 school year. And as Mrs. Allaby talked about, it will be different. It will be a different experience, but yet the high quality education that our students are going to receive will continue. And we thank everyone in advance for helping us move into this new school year. So the 3 program choices, as a reminder that our board has taken action on, we have one, an in-person learning continuum that was presented at last night's Board of Education meeting. During that meeting, and I'll review those samples tonight, that is geared towards families and students that desire to return to campus in person when health conditions allow. And I will give more details in a few slides. Another program choice option for our families and students is our virtual program. That program, as a reminder, is intended to be 100% online and will be a balance between live interaction with a classroom teacher and also work done independently by our students. The third program choice is our home-based program. This is a relatively new program to our district, and the intent is for families or guardians who would like to be the deliverers of instruction to receive our textbooks and instructional materials, but do that teaching at home You will have a teacher that you'll communicate with on a monthly basis to make sure your student is progressing and you have the supports that you need. So again, we have 3 program choices. And as a reminder, all of those program choices need to be selected by the 23rd at 11:59 p.m. to allow us to move forward in the next component as we prepare for August 10th. So last night we talked about the in-person learning continuum, and that continuum begins at phase 1 and concludes at phase 5. This is for those families that again select in person, and when health conditions allow, we'll be returning to our campuses. And I'll go over great detail as we go through with some samples, but just as an overview, the recommendation was to the board to begin in phase 1, which is all students engaging through distance learning and not returning to school yet. And that was approved again at the board meeting. When allowed, we'll move into phase 2 and 3, which present 2 different hybrid options, where students are on campus for a combination of both distance learning and in-person attendance. And then we'll be moving into phase 4 and 5, again, when health conditions permit, where we will be on campus 5 days a week with precautions, and then eventually moving into phase 5, where we're there without precautions. But as a reminder, when we start school on August 10th, all students who select the in-person learning continuum will begin via distance learning. That means they will be at home and teachers will be interacting with them via a device. So as an update, and I believe this was actually as of the 22nd, we have roughly 23,000 families have responded and students have responded, representing about 56% of our district selecting a program choice. We know that we have roughly half of our district that is still weighing what is the best option for their family, and we hope that this communication will aid you in that process. But please remember, by July 23rd at 11:59, we need each family to request an option for their child. At this time, I'd like to have Mr. Walker, Assistant Superintendent, who oversees our health and safety for our district, provide an update on state plan and closure criteria that was recently released in the state. Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. As many of you are aware, the governor has had a conference last Friday, and he reviewed a plan that included some direction to school districts. First, he emphasized that learning is non-negotiable whether school is in session or not. The state plan includes 5 major areas. Safe in-person attendance is based on local health data. Using local health data, schools can physically plan when its county does not appear on the monitoring list for 14 days. Riverside County is on the monitoring list, as well as all of the 10 largest counties in the state, and 33 of the 58 counties in the state are currently on the monitoring list. In counties that have not met the criteria or the requirement of being off the monitoring list for 14 days must begin the school year with distant learning. So that's where we are, as well as all of Riverside County at this point in time. The second area was facial coverings, and all school staff and students in 3rd grade and above must wear facial coverings at school. Students in grades 2 and below are encouraged to wear facial coverings or face shields. The third area was physical distancing and other adaptations. Staff must maintain 6 feet between each other and when with students. Symptom checks will be conducted, both active and passive screenings, including temperature checks. Hand washing, sanitization stations should be available. Quarantine protocols such as isolation areas for students and staff displaying symptoms should be established at schools. The fourth area is testing and contract tracing. And we have requirements to test staff, approximately 25% of staff every 2 weeks, 50% per month, so that in a period of 2 months, every staff will be checked. State contact training workers will prioritize schools that are in need of assistance and support and work in collaboration with the district. And the last component for the state plan was rigorous distant learning. And Dr. Lewis is going to outline this component in a later slide. So then there was also review of some closure criteria, and it was established by the California Department of Public Health to help us determine when should in-person learning close. The steps included consultation with a public health officer. First, in addition to the state, we'll be providing the following recommendations. A classroom cohort goes home when there is a confirmed case in that cohort. A school goes home when multiple cohorts have been affected and have a positive case, or 5% of the total school population is positive. A district goes home if 25% of their schools are closed within a 14-day period of time. So for the Riverside Unified School District, that would amount to approximately 13 schools affected. If a school is closed, it may reopen after 14 days, and during that time, cleaning and disinfection will take place. The district must, at that time, consult with public health officials and the public health department, who will touch base with the State Department of Public Health prior to the reopening of the school. And this information was as of Friday, July 17th, prior to going to the board meeting from last night. I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Appreciate it. We are now going to progress into a more detailed explanation of the in-person program choice, which we explained earlier as being phase 1 through phase 5, starting again with distance learning. So just as a reminder, the instruction will be provided by a certificated teacher. Whether we are in distance learning or able to return in campus, you will be assigned to a classroom teacher. Standards align with all of our regular instructional materials and all of our assessments. Supports will continue to be provided, whether that be in small group, whether that be for social emotional, whether that be for English learners, special education, gifted and talented. Many of our different programs that students participate in that will continue in needs. As well as addressing equity and access. We know families will be requesting devices, and we will be providing those, as well as supports on how to use those devices, and that work will continue as we begin distance learning. As we consider lunch and recess, as well as arrival and dismissal when we return to campus, they will have staggered times. You will have groups of students. We will have prepackaged meals. We will be outdoor when possible. And then again, with arrival and dismissal for the in-person model when permitted, when you arrive, you will have a temperature screening, you'll be sanitizing, and then you'll be entering campus. And all of our students will be trained in all of the social distance protocols and how to best maintain those health and safety precautions, as well as when we dismiss what that will look like, and we'll also discuss transportation. And later in the presentation, we'll give you an update on co-curricular and extracurricular activities. So as we progress through, we have 3 symbols that I would like to make sure everybody is able to identify when we show sample schedules. Number 1 is the picture of a school or a schoolhouse. That is going to represent our in-person model. That will be time when a student is physically on a school campus. You then have the graphic in the middle that represents 3 individuals. This will represent time when students are connected with their classroom teacher via a device, but that will be live interaction or live types of live instruction. And then on the right, you have a student sitting in front of a computer. That is going to represent time when students are working independently or in assignments provided by their teacher or pre-recorded lessons. And we're going to call that asynchronous, when students are working independently. And for the purpose of the presentation, elementary school is defined as preschool through 6th grade, and secondary is designed as identified as grades 7 through 12 and above. So there were many questions regarding what is distance learning and how does that differ from what we had when we were in remote learning. So I would like to take a minute to clarify. Number 1, the definition is when instruction is happening, when the instructor or teacher and the student are in different locations, as we talked about. For example, the student may be at home and the teacher may be at school, and they're connecting via device. But the students are under the supervision of a classroom teacher. It includes online interaction, instruction, check-in, assignments, work products, Anything that is documenting as we progress through student learning between both the teacher and the student. There will be print materials, there will be assignments, the work will be graded, and attendance will be taken. The expectation is that our students will be following a provided schedule at all levels, and your expectation to be in attendance and completing the work and receiving graded feedback on that work is a difference than what we had during remote learning in the spring. Instruction will be aligned with grade level standards and have that equal rigor to high quality instruction that we are proud of in our school district, as well as daily live interaction, progress monitoring, and school connectedness. And the supports will continue, whether that be addressed for students that are in foster youth or maybe McKinney-Vento students, special education or related services, whether that be designated or integrated English language development. And meals will also continue for all students, regardless of the 3 program choices. So again, as a review, the recommendation from the action team, and again, I'd like to thank the action team for all of their work, whether that was parents, teachers, community members, was that we begin in phase 1 in distance learning. We begin moving into phase 2 when permitted into a hybrid, which is a 1-day model, which I will explain, as well as a phase 3 2-day model, and moving towards that 5-day model. On the bottom, what we'll be talking about is the ability to move between those phases as health circumstances permit. And that will be part of the regular and ongoing monitoring of the indicators that you heard Mr. Walker speak to. At the board meeting, we did speak to the team will be identifying specific criteria that Mr. Walker will be leading with the health and safety action team. So we look forward to that work coming out soon. Mr. Walker, is there any detail based on the moving between phases that you'd like to provide?
Yes, in addition to what criteria we'll create as a district, the movement between the phases will include guidance from the Governor's Office, the California Department of Public Health, the California Department of Education, and the Riverside County Public Health Department. Additionally, local epidemiology data showing sustained decline in COVID-19 cases over the 14-day period will be a requirement, and an increase in available hospital-based resources in the county is a consideration. The governor came out with 6 particular areas that's specified. We'll provide that information in detail as we go forward. But those are the elements that will take place in regard to movement between the phases.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. And another thing we spoke about was clarifying the transition timeframe and making sure we allow the community time to understand and adjust accordingly. So I know that's part of that too. So thank you. At this time, we'll progress into samples. So we'll begin with phase 1, which is where we'll be starting on August 10th, which is in distance learning. And I'd like to also bring you on the bottom of the slide, we are always under pending public health order and also negotiation with our bargaining units as we are working down this path simultaneously. So you'll notice that will be a repetition on each slide. So as we talk about distance learning, this is just one example of what it could look like. And the other example could be more of a regular, typical school day. So with distance learning, what you can expect is to have multiple hours, approximately 3 hours, of interaction with your classroom teacher, whether that be all in the morning or in the afternoon, as the 2 examples provided on the screen. There will also be a balance of students working independently or asynchronously. Another type of schedule that it could look like is a daily schedule, where, for example, in elementary school, if you're a 3rd grade student, the hours will be more similar to a regular school day, and you will have scheduled breaks, scheduled lunches. But again, at home, you will then have a schedule where you're logging in and being part of live engagement with your classroom teacher. The specifics on the distance learning schedule will be coming soon, and that is also being worked on by the teams we mentioned below. As we progress through distance learning and we move into hybrid, this would begin phase 2. So what we're going to begin to show is what you can expect in the in-person learning continuum when we move back to attending school 1 day per week. This is an example of a regular teacher day for an elementary school teacher. So let me first orientate you to the slide. The days of the week are at the top, and then you'll notice there are 2 groups of students identified as Group A and Group B. These are cohort groups. So when students who identify as selecting the in-person model, we will be dividing those groups of students into two, Group A and Group B. The groups will be assigned by either your physical address or your alphabetical last name, and they will be adjusted to such to balance. So as you are identified in Group A, the purpose for that is when you return to school, you will have half of your class in attendance. That allows us to follow more of the health and safety precautions as we progress through the model. So in this example, you'll notice on Monday, Group A is identified as the blue square. They are in school. On Monday, Group B in the maroon square, that they are working independently or asynchronously on those assignments provided by their teacher. On Tuesday and Wednesday, they are connecting with their teacher via their device in synchronous or live engagement. And they also have independent or asynchronous work time that they'll have to complete independently. On Group B is the switch. You'll notice in Group B on Thursday, we now have Group B attending school in the maroon graphic, and Group A is home working interdependently or asynchronously. And then Friday, we are both back to that synchronous engagement with our classroom teacher via a device. And I also have independent work assigned. On the bottom of the slide, you'll notice where it says special day class students will be attending Monday and Thursday. So in this recommendation, they'll be able to attend school 2 days per week. And then again, we are following public health order and negotiations with our bargaining units. So from a student perspective, what you can expect. Monday, if I am in Group A, I'm at school. Tuesday and Wednesday, I am in both synchronous or live engagement with my teacher and independent or asynchronous work. And also on Wednesday, this is the time that our staff will be cleaning all of those high-touch areas and reinforcing the cleaning that happens on a daily basis. But they'll be cleaning the school, preparing for a new group of students to come on Thursday. So in this model, Group A would be at home while Group B is at school. And then for Group B, it would be the opposite. As we progress through the models and we would move into phase 3, as you heard Mr. Walker describe, there will be a criterion, very clear communication of when these phases, and we would transition through. But as we move into phase 3, this would be a 2-day-a-week model at the elementary level. So now we are increasing the amount of time students are on campus. So this is an example of what an elementary teacher day would look like. Notice the colors are the same, the groupings are the same, and this would be an important time for the community to be made aware that our group assignments into A and B are consistent for both elementary school, middle school, and high school students. So if you have multiple children that are at multiple levels, the days that they are assigned to be on school campuses, the team has done a great job making sure they match. So if you're responsible for drop-off or pickup procedures, those will be consistent within your group assignments. So on Monday, I have Group A is now at school 2 days that week. So half of my classes in person Monday and Tuesday in Group A. Group B at this time would be home working interdependently or asynchronously, independent, completing the assignments the teacher has provided. On Wednesday, all students will remain at home and they're connecting via their device with their teacher and completing independent assignments. And this, again, as a reminder, is the time when staff is going through and providing additional cleaning and support for high-touch areas, common areas, things of that nature, as we prepare for a different group of students, Group B, to return Thursday and Friday in person, while Group A is at home working independently. And again, just another view. This is a student view. So if I'm assigned to Group A, Monday and Tuesday, I am at school. Regular school hours, regular school day. There will be some changes for extra precautions for health and safety, but the experience will be similar for arrival and pickup times. Wednesday, we are at home connecting both with live interaction or what we call synchronous, as well as asynchronous or independent activity. There is that balance. This is also the time where the teacher is able to meet with additional small groups or provide more extra help if necessary. And then Thursday and Friday, we have students working in Group A. They will be working independently. This would be another good time to mention the additional supports provided. So if a student is home working independently on assignments their teacher has provided and videos that they're working through, and they're struggling and they need additional assistance, our team is putting together a robust tutoring plan where students will be able to log in to receive tutoring at all different grade levels via their device into a tutoring room. where they'll be able to go in and ask questions and receive additional help. That is another resource that is also planned to be provided when we open school through distance learning. At the bottom of the slide, you will notice that now we are at school 4 days per week. We have Group A on Monday and Tuesday, and Group B Thursday and Friday. Our special day classes will be attending all 4 days that week. So we are again providing that different type of service for special day students. And again, public health orders will be negotiating our process as well as working with our bargaining units on details of schedules. That wraps up our elementary phase 2 and phase 3. We'll now move into secondary, and secondary is identified as students in grades 7 through 12. And there is a different type of schedule because in elementary, you have one teacher that you're interacting with. And when you walk into 7th grade through 12th grade, you typically will have 6 teachers or course identified subjects that you take. So in a 1 day a week model in phase 2 for secondary, you would expect to see a schedule like this. Again, the slide is the same with days of the week up the top. Students will again be divided into Group A and Group B. And remember, they will match the Group A and Group B assignments of elementary siblings. The difference is the recommendation is a block schedule. And for those of you that may not be familiar with a block is a longer length of time for your scheduled class, but you only receive it every other day. So for example, when a student would typically go to middle school or high school, they would have 6 periods a day. So they would see all 6 teachers, and each class would be roughly 50 minutes. In a block schedule, you see your teachers every other day. So on Monday, students will only attend 1st, 3rd, and 5th period. This will allow us to have fewer transitions when we do enter an on-campus model to again provide higher likelihood for health and safety precautions as we're using less transitions. So on Monday, students will be in via a hybrid model on campus, periods 1, 3, and 5, if they're in Group A. And on Tuesday, all students are again at home connecting with their teacher via a schedule for periods 1, 3, and 5 in week 1 via their device. And they'll be connecting with their teacher to work through live engagement, and then they'll have independent assignments that are made. On Wednesday, you'll see the difference. They will see all teachers, periods 1 through 6 on Wednesday, for a check-in, for teachers to be able to connect with their students. And then the teachers will be able to provide additional assistance or office hours in the afternoon for additional supports. And this is also the time when you will have, again, staff working on cleaning of high touch areas and providing those extra sanitizations that we talked about with health and safety precautions. On Thursday in this model, Group B would be on campus for periods 1, 3, and 5. And then Friday, we are again back to that combination of both live interaction and independent work or synchronous and asynchronous connection. The reason we show week 1 and week 2 is in this model with students on campus 1 day per week, it will take 2 weeks for them to get through all teachers in a block schedule. So in week 2, you will notice while Group A is at school on Monday, they now will see teachers in 2nd, 4th, and 6th period. So in a combination of those 2 weeks, they will see all of their teachers. The rest of the week will remain the same with a balance of both live engagement and independent work, as well as on Thursday, Group B will be attending school for periods 2, 4, and 6. This is a block schedule model that will that will be brought out as a new model for our students that will be transitioned into phase 2. So from a student perspective, on the next slide, this is what it would look like if I was in Group A and also identified in Group B. So on Monday, while Group A is at school with their teachers in periods 1, 3, and 5, Group B would be at home working on the Google Classroom assignments and the videos that were uploaded by teachers or accountability for assignments our students would need to complete for periods 1, 3, and 5. On Tuesday, all students are engaging with their teacher via their device for a balance of both live engagement and independent work. Wednesday, we're connecting with all periods. And on Thursday, Group A will be at home while Group B is on campus. And Friday, it's back to the both live engagement and asynchronous or independent work following that block schedule. On Wednesday, again, as a reminder, those are our cleaning days for additional supports of cleaning that above and beyond what happens during the daily schedule. Week 2, now it would be the reverse. So now when students come, they are now interacting with periods 2, 4, and 6 in person, and having periods 1, 3, and 5 when they are home via distance learning. So this is the example when we talk about it would take 2 weeks to see all of my teachers as a secondary student. As we move into phase 3, 2 days per week, we'll walk through our schedule. So again, from a teacher day on Monday and Tuesday, I would see Group A students for periods 1, 3, and 5 on Monday. Group A would also return on Tuesday for periods 2, 4, and 6. This would allow a student in a phase 3 or 2 day a week model. I would see all of my teachers in both Monday and Tuesday. I would complete my schedule. Wednesday, all students are connected via a device with their teacher in both live engagement and independent work. Again, deep cleaning is taking place. And then on Thursday, I would have Group B on campus while Group A is at home for periods 1, 3, and 5, and then 2, 4, and 6. And you could see that schedule would be consistent weekly. So from a student perspective, while Monday and Tuesday, Group A is on campus for periods 1, 3, 5, and then periods 2, 4, and 6 on Tuesday, Group B is at home, again, completing those assignments that are pre-assigned by the teacher. Wednesday, we are connecting via device while the cleaning is happening on campus, while we welcome a different group of students Thursday and Friday, while Group A would be at home completing those assignments. That concludes the hybrid phase 2 and phase 3 models. And then as they begin into phase 4 and 5, those are the 5-day-a-week examples when students are on campus. The other program choice that we spoke about last night, and this is a transition time, transitions into our virtual program option. But before I do that, let me pause for a second and ask Ms. Hill, is there anything we would like to expand on in the hybrid options for both elementary and secondary before I move into virtual?
No, thank you, Dr. Lewis. I think you did a good job.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Perez, anything that we need to clarify?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Okay, thank you. Moving into the virtual choice. So again, for clarity, this is a different program selection that families can make, different than the in-person model. This is a virtual program choice. The intent when you select the virtual program choice is your instruction will be 100% online. It'll be a balance of engagement with a teacher via a device and independent work assigned by the teacher. Students who select the virtual program choice will not be returning to a campus in person. Everything will be 100% online. And again, just a reminder, we need that program selection by the 23rd at 11:59. So the virtual program choice, the components will be, your instruction will be by a certificated teacher, again, with that high rigor of instruction for standards aligned and core adopted material. Communication will be via your device that we just spoke about, and there will be daily live engagement. Attendance will be taken. This is very different than the remote time that we spoke about in the spring. Students who select this choice must attend daily. That is the expectation. Teachers will be engaging with you and taking attendance, and your work and products will be graded. That will be your grade for the grading period. Supports will be provided, as we've talked about, for all student groups, as well as enrichment and small group instruction for additional support. We know there will be a need for devices and internet support that will continue to outreach as we near that August 10th start date. More information will be coming. Another key component are meals. All students, regardless of program choice, whether it's home-based, virtual, or in person, have the ability to pick up their meal service from the school nearest their home. And when you are in the virtual program choice and you're picking up meals, you will receive meals for multiple days. And just want to thank our nutrition services staff for being able to have that accessible for our students. And again, if you pick a virtual program choice, you are able to participate in co-curricular and extracurricular events when permitted with your school that you are associated with. So for example, if I was a Ramona student and I choose virtual program choice, but I like to participate in visual and performing events, when they are able to be done, if I am a band student and marching band is able to come back when it's safe to do so, I am still able to do that even if I pick the virtual choice. So I want to make sure we clarify that for students and families. So this is where the virtual program choice, we have a very exciting idea for our families. And I'm going to first orientate you with a slide. On the left, we talked about having the live engagement for roughly 3 hours per day, or 40 to 60%, depending on age level. So this will look very different from a kindergarten student to a 12th grade student taking government and economics as an example. Well, what we have, the action team has provided, and again, cannot thank them enough for their work, is there will be 3 options for our families. You can pick the time slot where you will have that live interaction in a virtual setting that best meets your student or family needs. So for example, we give you 3 student examples, but ultimately you will have 3 choices as families. Number 1, you can choose to have your live engagement with your teacher be during the morning. That's represented by student 1. You will have a schedule that will be aligned to all of your teachers, and all of your coursework will be delivered during that daily 3 morning, roughly hour block by your teachers. The afternoon and evening is when you would complete your independent work or asynchronous work. Another program choice of the virtual program that will be coming for those that select this option will be choice 2 in how you receive your virtual instruction. Choice 2 represents a student who chose in the morning and evening is when they would like to do their independent work, but they would like their live engagement with their teacher to occur in the afternoon hours. We don't have those hours set quite yet, but I'll give you an example. That might be from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, where we would have that 3-hour time block where you would have your schedule. Again, that will be different for elementary because you're assigned to one teacher, versus secondary, well, you will have a daily schedule you have to follow for all of your teachers. Student 3, or choice 3, is represented as a third option for families in the virtual model. This allows students in the morning and afternoon where they will complete their independent work, but they would like their live engagement with their teacher to be in the evening. This could be roughly from 4 to 7 as an example with your live engagement. We're excited for this option because it gives both flexibility to families and to staff, knowing that we're all in different environments and situations during this time. What we're going to ask families to do, and this again will occur after our window closes, again on the 23rd at 11:59, all of the families that do select the virtual program choice will be contacted again. And you will have 3 more choices in the virtual setting. Do you want your engagement to be in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening? And we're going to ask you to select your top 2. And then as the schedules are built, you will be assigned one of those 2 choices. So for example, if I am student 1 and I would like my live interaction to be in the morning, and I'm an elementary student, my teacher and I would be engaging for roughly 3 hours. And again, that will be a balance of assignments and small group and whole group teaching and learning. But you can expect to have roughly 3 hours of live engagement where all of the teaching and learning with live engagement via my device will occur. In the afternoon, the student will have work that they have to complete. So this is an example if I select morning. This would be the same if I selected afternoon. My 3 hours would be in the afternoon, or if I selected evening, my 3 hours would be in the evening. The one thing the team was very excited about in offering this is if you have a household that maybe has a first grader and a high schooler and they're home together, they don't have to be on the same schedule. So you could obviously have the high schooler providing additional support for the younger student who may need it as they progress through a virtual environment, or for a family schedule to work around work schedules, because we know some students may need additional support in this model. We're able to provide flexibility. The same will be offered to our secondary students that we just spoke about. Again, when you want to have your live engagement via the morning, the afternoon, or the evening. And then next slide, we'll show you an example of if you do select morning and you are a 7th through 12th grader, this again, you will be assigned to a block schedule. So on Monday, during your 3 hours that you select, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening, and you're assigned, you will receive your first period English language arts instruction for roughly an hour. Then you will transition to your math teacher, and then you will transition to your elective teacher in 5th period, all for roughly an hour. All of those teachers will be assigning work that you then need to complete independently. This is the balance of virtual instruction. So secondary students in grades 7 through 12 and teachers will have an assigned schedule that you need to follow during your 3-hour block that you choose, whether that's morning, afternoon, or evening. So what it would look like for a student. If I am a 7th through 12th grader, and on Monday, I would have periods 1, 3, and 5. And for this example, I will say that the student has selected evening as their preferred choice, and that's what they're assigned. So on Monday, periods 1, 3, and 5 will occur in the evening with their direct instruction, and they'll be completing their independent work other times throughout the day. On Tuesday, that student would then, during that same evening time, have periods 2, 4, and 6, and they would be assigned the independent work again throughout that day. On Wednesday, you'll notice you will see all periods 1 through 6 in very shorter time periods of roughly 30 minutes per period. And that is a check-in time to make sure that students and teachers are being able to stay in touch and keeping up on assignments, as well as provide time for teachers to meet with small groups of students as necessary. Thursday, I'd go back to periods 1, 3, and 5 at my time block selected with interaction with my teachers and independent work. And then the same thing on Friday for periods 2, 4, and 6. And again, the details of this are still being worked out, but if your family selected the virtual program choice, you can expect communication starting as early as today, asking you to select either morning, afternoon, or evening, and to select 2 of the 3 that best meet your family needs. This is just a reminder of what the in-person review overview looked like, and then we reviewed the virtual model. So at this time, I will again pause and look to my colleagues. I know that there's a lot of information that we are reviewing with the community, and some of it can be overwhelming at times. So I want to make sure, are there any points of clarity that we need to provide before we move on to an update on co-curricular and extracurricular activities?
Dr. Lewis, perhaps you could address the intention for families to commit to a certain period of time for these different programs and when they might change.
Thank you, Mrs. Allaby. That is another great point to bring up. So when you select your program choice, we are asking you to the best of your ability to consider that program choice that meets your family's needs for a duration of time that matches our grading periods. So for example, if I'm an elementary school student and I select the virtual program choice, you will remain in that virtual program choice until the end of the first trimester. At that time, if you would like to change your program choice, you will be able to do so if you wanted to change from the virtual program to the in-person program at your grading period. For grades 7 through 12, that will be at the semester. That is done to assure that students are not missing standards and that we are able to move that instruction, because in a program choice change, you may have to switch teachers. And all of our teachers are following consistent pacing through the grading periods. That's why those timeframes are there. Thank you for reminding me of that. So Michelle, if we could go back one slide, a few notes just as reminders. So a few things that came up last night. Number one, we know we have many families that have not made their program choice yet. We do have a robust effort going out. I think it started on Wednesday and Thursday with school sites reaching out to families in person, via telephone, via email, via social media, to answer any questions they may have and to ensure those families are making a program choice. We also want to thank our community members. We know many of you are holding community meetings to help and assist our families make that choice. And again, as a reminder, we need everyone by the 23rd at 11:59 to make that program choice. Another program that was brought up during the board meeting was Riverside Virtual School and how we're supporting our students. Just rest assured, Mr. Dietz has communicated with his staff and will continue to communicate with all of the students at Riverside Virtual School to select the program and answer any questions that you may have. As we are expanding the virtual options to all students in a virtual program for the 2021 school year, we understand our instructional models will all look different. But rest assured is our hope and our board's commitment that was also talked about as we enter the 21-22 school year. If we assume we're moving more towards phase 4 and 5 with students on campus, Riverside Virtual School and our virtual options will expand and actually continue within our district to provide choices for our families. So if you are an RVS current student, Mr. Dietz and his team will be reaching out to you to assist you in the selection process. If there aren't any other points of clarity, we'll move on to CIF. So I know many of you that are involved in high school athletics and marching band and other visual and performing arts are eagerly awaiting to get back together to participate in your co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Due to health and safety precautions, California Interscholastic Federation, or CIF, did make an announcement on the 20th that they have pushed all of the fall scheduled sports to begin after December 2020. So there will be no athletic contests occurring in the regular fall schedule. Continue to stay tuned for updates as this will change and more information will come out as health and safety precautions develop over coming weeks and months. But just for all those in athletics, the first athletic contest is scheduled to begin December of 2020 for the fall season. And then again, CIF has modified into both a fall and spring season. All of the spring season sports will have their first athletic contest in either late February or early March of 2021. They will be concluding in late June. As we are permitted by local officials and health orders, when we are permitted to allow students back on campus and to begin co-curricular and extracurricular activities, practices will resume again in a phased approach that our athletic directors, our athletic trainers, and our coaches and our teams have been working on. That again we will follow when that is allowed, but at this point that is not. And again, we will provide schedules for transition and updates as this is updated throughout our community. Mr. Walker, would you like to talk about some additional social emotional supports available to our families?
Yes, I'll be happy to. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. The Riverside Unified School District continues to provide social emotional supports to our students through these challenging times. While we're out of school right now, the Care Solace 24/7 support is available. They're very responsive. The email contact and phone number are on your screen. Video chat is available. We also have a rather intensive virtual wellness center that provides family resources. You can get there by clicking on the bit.ly/RUSD learning and visiting that wellness center. And then there's the National Crisis Text line for just text home to 741741 for supports. When we're back in school and throughout the year in the summertime programs, student assistance program counselors, as well as the psychologists that are part of that program, and our school psychologists that are stationed at every school, as are the student assistance program counselors, as well as our school counselors at the secondary, provide our students with social emotional supports through varying opportunities, including in-class lessons and individualized support, small group supports. Counseling is available regardless of the program model selected. So no matter whether you've selected any of the three programs, the counseling support is available for your students. And we have the Family Resource Center and other options that are providing parent education webinars available throughout the year. Visit our website to the Family Resource Center to see some of those that will be provided as we begin our school year coming up shortly. At this point in time, I'd like to turn over the screen to our new Chief Academic Officer, Renee Hill, to take on the next slide.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Families, we're to our last 3 slides or so. I do want to let you know that we would prefer to have each family express their program choice. However, should a family choose not to or not be able to express a family choice, the default that will be assigned to families is the in-person hybrid model. So we are having some robust outreach. I have some contact information about that, but I wanted to make you aware of the default family choice being in-person hybrid model. In addition, don't forget, school starts, as Mrs. Ellaby said, in 13 days on August 10th. We will be starting all in distance mode. So for the last 3 slides, we'd like to make some more resources available to you. As you know, Riverside Unified does not provide childcare. However, an organization in town, Riverside County Office of Ed Early Care, does have a roster of family care resources. People who provide those services, they maintain a roster of resources. And for some families, they also have some subsidies for childcare that are income-based. We have some outreach going on right now for this last day and a half or so of family choice at the meal locations today. If you need assistance in making your choice, people will be available from 10:30 to 1 p.m. We also have a hotline that you can call. The number is on the bottom third of your slide. You can get support in either English or Spanish. Someone will help you. So for our final sign off, join us again at our August 4th board meeting or our August 6th community update, or call us at the numbers you see there available. And of course, you can find us on social media. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.